الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So inshallah we continue with the Tafseer of Surah Al-Baqarah, and just to share the screen with you first. So Surah Al-Baqarah, and we reached up to Ayah 203 last time, and inshallah we will now start from Ayah 204. As always, let's quickly understand the overview of the surah. As we mentioned, that the Qur'an itself, when we study the Qur'an, we do the Tafseer to understand the meaning of the Qur'an. The whole objective is to seek guidance from Allah. In light of Surah Al-Fatiha, when we ask Allah Ta'ala's guidance, Ihdina as-Sirat al-Mustaqim. And the rest of the revelation, which means Qur'an and the Sunnah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, this is the guidance. Khair al-Hadi Hadi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Surah Al-Baqarah, it gives us a very comprehensive and a very clear, robust framework of guidance. Yes? By guiding us in every aspect of our lives, individually, collectively, societally, if that is a word, at the societal level, and as a global ummah. Global ummah means the whole of mankind, from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam until the last person. They are all invited, and they are all reminded, and they are all guided by Allah. And this is the guidance. So we mentioned, and I hope that you know, inshallah, this very thoroughly. You should explain this. You should be able to explain this, and you should be explaining this to people who you can. That the guidance starts with Iman, meaning what is this reality we live in? What is the reality? What is the reality? The reality is Al-Haq. Allah is Al-Haq. And He is the creator of everything. And He is providing us with everything. He is Rabb. And He is Ilah. La ilaha illahu. None should be worshipped except Him. We should show our gratitude towards Allah by worshipping Him alone. And at the end of the day, this is in our own benefit. فَمَنِ اهْتَدَى يَهْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ فَإِنَّمَا يَهْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ. Surah Al-Isra says, whoever is guided or follows the guidance, then it is only that person, him or herself, that would benefit from the guidance. فَإِنَّمَا يَهْتَدِي لِنَفْسِهِ. إِنَّمَا حَصْرٌ. It means only the person will benefit. Allah will not benefit from the guidance. You, the person, will benefit. So Iman, and then Islam has been given to us in this surah, and we are going to, if we get there today, we will see this, the ayah, udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Islam is now how to live, practically live this belief. live according to the Iman that Allah, He is absolutely there watching and everything is recorded and He knows the intentions, alimun bidhati sudur, and He is Maliki Yawmiddin, then all this would be taken into account and people would be given what they earned. Good would attract goodness in the hereafter and bad would attract bad outcomes. Sayyi'at, evils that attract evil outcomes. Hasanat, good actions that attract good outcomes. So Islam has been given to us in this surah. And then a meaning, the meaning of life, collective meaning of life of an ummah, of a humanity, of the whole humanity. They are told that you have been established to invite others to this truth, because you would be asked on the Day of Judgment on your account whether you conveyed this message of the truth to the rest of the people you could access, vision of Shahadat al-Nas. And then in order to achieve this, we have to do infaq, which is to essentially exhaust all of our resources. We exhaust all our resources for the, I'm sorry, there's something new in this app today that is expecting me to admit. So that's why I paused there, sorry. Okay, khair. So infaq is to then exhaust all resources for this purpose of remaining on Iman and continually remaining steadfast on Islam and inviting to it. So you have to spend your resources on this in order to live this and to convey it. And you have to battle the odds, jihad. First you have to battle your nafs, and then shaitan, and then the negativity around you and those Hizbush Shaitan who have decided to stop you and misguide you. So I hope that's clear again, yeah? So we mention this frequently. I am very optimistic that you know this thoroughly, inshallah. So where are we now? We are now looking at the section, the third section of the surah, which is essentially telling us to be the people who submit to this message, Aslim, and convey this message of submission. And we have just looked at Hajj in the previous sections that we looked at. So this is the Islam, aspect of Islam, yeah? And the other thing is that when we look at this Hajj, the last khutbah of the Prophet ﷺ at Hajj essentially was to leave his legacy of Shahadat al-Nas to the rest of the Ummah. فَلْيُبَلِّغِ شَاهِدِ الْغَائِبِ. When the Prophet ﷺ, he gave his historic, amazing khutbah, the khutbah that is worthy of being written in something more precious than gold. If there is anything more precious, then it should be written in that, in the last khutbah of the Messenger ﷺ, where he summarized the whole teachings of 23 years and He gave us very clear guidance in aspects of our lives, and you analyze it and you would be amazed how relevant it is to today. And it has remained and it will remain relevant to all times because it is Allah Ta'ala's guidance. So Hajj, in fact, is the collection of the Ummah to renew this responsibility of Shahadat al-Nas on the Day of Judgment, that you would have to stand in front of Allah in Arafat. And Allah would ask you, did you convey the message? And just like we say, Labbaik, Allahumma Labbaik, in Hajj we would be able to say, yes, we are at your service, like we served you all our lives by conveying the message. So you see where the Hajj fits into all this, inshallah. Now we want to start looking at a section where Allah Ta'ala, He is telling us about, and He is comparing the munafiqeen with the mu'minin, hypocrites, different types of hypocrites. Essentially, there are two broad categories of hypocrisy. One is i'tiqadi, one is in belief, and one is amali, in action. I'tiqadi, in belief, is the people who know they are not Muslim, but they pose as if they are Muslim. They say they are Muslim, but they are not. So this hypocrisy, nifaq, i'tiqad, in terms of belief, and amal. So this i'tiqad is people who believed, who said they believed, but they didn't believe at all. They in fact were the spies and they were the infiltrators, sabotagers of the mission and vision, because they had baghyan bainahum, hatred for this message and messenger. And the people at the forefront of this were the Yahud of Medina, those tribes. And then others who then they joined other people, just like goodness attracts goodness. Good people will attract good people around them. And the filth attracts more filth. So the hypocrites, they became a group of people who were like-minded and like-hearted. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا. They have a disease in their heart. Disease is they hate Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. They disbelieve in his message, kufr. But they say we believe. And then the amali nifaq, in action, is a believer who says he believes and he is true, but he does actions of hypocrisy. So he lies, he breaks his promise, breaks his trust, and becomes out of control in emotional situations, loses the whole plot, and will become khasama fajara, will become out of control and abusive. So we have not started yet. Let's start. But we will look at this inshallah. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ لِيُفْسِدَ فِيهَا وَيُهْلِكَ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْفَسَادَ. وَإِذَا قِيلَ وإذا قيل له اتق الله أخذته العزة بالإثم فحسبه جهنم ولبئس المهاد ومن الناس من يشري نفسه ابتغاء مرضات الله والله رؤوف بالعباد يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين فإن زللتم من بعد ما جاءتكم البينات فاعلموا أن الله عزيز حكيم هل ينظرون إلا أن يأتيهم الله في ظلل من الغمام والملائكة وقضي الأمر وإلى الله ترجع الأمور. So this is now highlighting the characteristics of these munafiqeen. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. And from the people there are those who يُعْجِبُكَ, you are amazed, you are impressed by what they say regarding the worldly life. وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ. And this person, he calls Allah to witness as to what is in his heart, meaning the person says, I swear by Allah, I am a believer. وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ. In fact, he is the worst and the most fiercest, it says there, of the people who want to argue and they want to be your opponent and enemy. They are the worst. Alad. This is to be understood in light of Surah Al-Munafiqun. So when we go to Surah Al-Munafiqun, we see this first ayah. This it tells us, إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ, when the munafiqun come to you. قَالُوا, they say, نَشْهَدُ, we bear witness, إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ. We bear witness that you are Allah's messenger. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ. Allah, He knows better that you are the Rasul. Of course you are. وَاللَّهُ يَشْهَدُ, but Allah, He bears witness, and He is witnessing that إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَكَاذِبُونَ. The munafiqeen, they are liars. What they say is true, that you are Rasulullah. But why they're liars? Because they don't believe in what they say. So this is exactly what is being mentioned here in Surah Al-Baqarah, that this person comes who is very impressive and he is a leader, and the Tafseer mentioned that the ta'wil khas, the person this is relevant to specifically at the time is Akhnas ibn Shurayq, who would come to the Prophet ﷺ, and he would be very well spoken, very impressive. You know these people who went to India in 1850s. So you look at the library archives pictures, very well dressed, nice, very neat, clean, and they came to help the people of subcontinent. So people were very impressed by their looks and the way they spoke, very civilized. So this person, he's the same regarding this dunya. And you are then taken aback. Same thing have you mentioned, Surah Munafiqun, I think. وَإِن يَقُولُوا تَسْمَعْ لِقَوْلِهِمْ. When they speak, you listen attentively. كَأَنَّهُمْ خُشُبٌ مُسَنَّدَةٌ. They are propped up wood, they are nothing inside, hollow inside. And وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ يُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ. You have to pay a lot of attention to what I'm about to explain now. وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ. So I'm going to show you two qira'at of this. يُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ. يُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ. Yushhidu Allah. Now, people who have studied some grammar, hopefully you understand. Yushhidu is fu'ila, majhul. Allah is mansub. The another qiraat is yashhadullah, yashhadullah, yashhadullahu, yashhadu, yashhadullahu, yashhadullahu, yashhadullahu. So what I mean by qiraat, as we know, this is a whole topic, but just to briefly introduce it. Qiraat of the Quran, the recitations of the Quran, authentically reported, mutawatir, are 10. But there are more. But there are 10. And for some reason in history, I don't want to go into any detail. 7 became known. So Sab'a Qira'at is very famous to say Sab'a Qira'at. Yeah? 7 recitations, modes of recitation, but they are not 7, they are 10 mutawatir. Anyway, so one of them is Yushhidullah and the other is Yashhadullahu. And all the qira'at, they go back to the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? Yushhidullah means that this person is saying that I bear witness as Allah is the witness. Okay? And Yashhadullahu means Allah is bearing witness. So first is, it means that he says, I make Allah my witness that I believe. But the second qiraat means that Allah is bearing witness regarding him. You see this? Very similar to the ayat in Surah Al-Munafiqun. So if we keep that in mind and we say, وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ, and he makes Allah a witness about what he believes, meaning he's saying, I swear that I believe, yeah, by Allah. Whereas when we say Yashhadullahu, it means Allah bears witness ala ma fi qalbi. Allah bears witness about what is in his heart. What is in his heart is a lie. When you see that with Surah Munafiqun. And what does Allah Ta'ala bear witness also? وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ. He is the worst and fiercest of opponents. He is absolute liar. Not only is lying, he is lying because he is planning against you. Although this is a ta'wil khas, which means meaning, specific meaning of the revelation that was relevant then, it wasn't just relevant to him, but because it's been mentioned that he had this characteristic, it is general for any person or any group of people who have this characteristic. Yeah. وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ لِيُفْسِدَ فِيهَا وَيُحْلِكَ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ. When he turns away, when he returns back after he has shown his face to say I am a believer, when he turns back, what does he do? Sa'a fil ard. Sa'a. It means to, linguistically means to make effort. Yeah? Sa'i. You know, sa'i, you're doing sa'i in the Umrah and Hajj. Sa'i. You have to run between the Safa and Marwa. Sa'i. So sa'a is you intend to do something here. Because when you go to Surah Al-Jumu'ah, Allah Ta'ala says, وَإِذَا نُودِيَ مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Fas'aw doesn't mean start running to Jummah. Many people, they run to this prayer. This is not correct. The Prophet ﷺ said, don't run to the masjid for the prayer. Don't run. Walk. تمشي في الأرض أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم عباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض حونا. They walk with sobriety. They walk with purpose. They do not run to the masjid. You don't run to the masjid, yeah? Prophet ﷺ said, if you miss it, then you make up what you missed, but you don't run to the masjid. So this person, he is intending. So sa'a means you intend towards something. You intend to go to Jummah. He sa'a fil ard, he intends now to go back fil ard, back to his place or domain where he will now do what? Liyufsida fiha. He wants to cause fasad. Fasad in this land. Yeah? What did we say? What was fasad in this surah? We mentioned in this surah fasad. And we talked about qital. Fitna and fasad is you cause people, you don't allow people to freely worship Allah. Yes? So he wants to cause this fasad fil ard. And what else does he want to do? وَيُحْلِكَ الْحَرْث وَالنَّسْلِ. And he wants to destroy the crops and the nasl of all the animals. So this is he practically did this. He burnt the crops and he killed the animals. But you can see that this has been unfortunately the outcome of all the invasions and the wars. I wanted to, but I forgot to do some research on the amount of life that has been lost in the world wars and the amount of damage it has done to agriculture and livestock. So this is one type of fasad, which is war. The other type of fasad, so I'm just extrapolating from here now, yeah? I'm not saying this is tafsir, I'm just doing some tadabbur. Let's focus and think, how do we apply this to today? When the people, they stand up and they say that we are the leading nations of this world, but they are the cause of the most pollution on the globe as well. Yeah? They cause the most global pollution, and they are the people and essentially the system of greed, capitalist greed, which causes the inequalities and the exploitation of labor in the third world country. So called, they label it third world. There's only one world. They label it third world. And they cause all the corruption in the whole environment, pollution, and then the release of all of the, what's it called, from industry. What is the byproduct of the industry? I don't know, you scientists, you should know, I don't know. That they allow it to filter into the water and to the sea, etc. And all of this, it damages the sea and the, what is the fish, yeah? So all of this is, we are seeing it now, yeah? We're seeing it now. You should watch, I don't know if it's new, I think it's new, BBC and David Attenborough talking about extinction. I saw some clip the other day. I don't know if it's something new is coming, or I'm not sure it's old. Regarding the extinction of the forests and the species and the damage that we have done through our greed. So this applies 100% to today. And look at the nuclear bomb, Hiroshima. Hiroshima has impact till today. Nothing can grow there. People have been deformed, the children that are born, etc. So Allah Ta'ala is saying that these are the type of people, you look at them, very nice, suited, booted, you see them get together, these leaders, they speak very nice, sophisticated language, people look up to them, but they're actually sa'afil ard, liyufsida fiha, they're quoting fasad. Wallahu la yuhibbul fasad, Allah doesn't want fasad, He doesn't love this at all. He loves islah. Fasad, the opposite is islah. Islah, reform. La tufsidu fil ard ba'da islahiha, Allah mentions, I think in Surah Rum. Do not cause this fasad after the fact that everything has been reformed. You upset the balance. And this type of character, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ اتَّقِ اللَّهَ, when it is said to him. So qila again is fu'ila. Qila is again majhul. When it is said to this person, ittaqillah, you should fear Allah, that you say something, you believe something, and you cause destruction. أَخَذَتْهُ الْعِزَّةُ بِالْإِثْمِ, pride in the sin takes hold of him, meaning his false pride. That how dare somebody tell me this? How dare you say this to me? How dare you, third world country, stand up to me? Yeah. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, for this attitude of kibr, which is to look down on people and reject the fact and truth, فَحَسْبُهُ جَهَنَّمْ, then for him, this person is Jahannam. Because the people don't understand the language. Simple, straightforward, they need Jahannam. وَلَا بِئْسَ الْمِهَادِ, this is the worst place for this person to end up in. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and then this is compared, the people who cause fasad, or the person who causes fasad, and lies and pretends and goes opposite to what he or she says. Allah Ta'ala is comparing the people who are believers, who they say, what they say is what they believe, and what they say is what they do. They don't contradict. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ, and then from people there are also those who have sold themselves, not for the dunya, they have sold themselves, seeking the pleasure of Allah. They do it for the sake of Allah. So this has been reported about, the example has been given in the Tafseer about Suhaib al-Rumi radiyallahu anhu. Suhaib al-Rumi, when he was making hijrah, so the Quraysh, they stopped him in his tracks. And he said that, you know that I am the best archer. And he said, I would empty what is that called where you put your arrows? Quiver. He said, I would empty my quiver and the arrows. And you know I'm the best archer amongst you before you reach me. And if you reach me, I would then attack you with my sword. So he said that, but if you let me go to Hijrah, to do Hijrah to Medina, to be with Rasulullah ﷺ, then I will tell you of my property in Mecca, where it is, where I have left it, hidden it, and you can have it if you let me go to Medina. So this is his yashri nafsahu. He sold himself for the sake of Allah. He gave his everything for the sake of Allah. فَهِجْرَةُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The hadith is very famous. So he did hijrah just for Allah. وَاللَّهُ رَعُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. For these servants, Allah Ta'ala, He is the most kind. So there's a contrast between the person of fasad and nifaq with the person of iman and What is the term we would use that he spent in the cause of Allah? Nifaq. Nifaq, yeah? He spent it for the sake of Allah. And then Allah Ta'ala, He's telling the believers, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, oh you who believe, udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Enter into Islam completely and perfectly. What does this mean now? We have to understand this. We have to understand silm. What does the silm mean? Silm means what Ibrahim alayhi salam understood from silm. Yes? You know, when Allah Ta'ala, He ordered, He showed Ibrahim alayhi salam in the dream that he's slaughtering Ismail alayhi salam. Which surah is it? Anybody know? The ayah is very good there, but I don't remember the surah. Very important because it mentions this word Islam there. It means to completely submit, surrender, and obey. Silm. Yeah? Allah Ta'ala is saying to the believers, you have to, your whole personality and your whole body as a believing body, all of you believers together. So they talk about unity as well, yeah? Not just the individual, as well as the unity of believers. You all have to submit to Allah. Because this is the way to your success. If you submit to Allah, obey Him, you would be successful in this life and in the hereafter. But if you don't, and then this surah mentioned the outcome when believers do not fully submit to Allah. They submit in parts of what Allah said and they don't submit in other parts. If you remember, regarding Bani Israel, Allah Ta'ala mentions, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. It's in this surah, in the section of Bani Israel. If you believe in part of the book and you disbelieve in others, which means you obey part of what Allah says and you don't obey what Allah says in other parts, then فَمَا جَزَاءُ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا, then you will only, the outcome, there are two outcomes to this attitude of partial obedience. You would be humiliated in this life. And then you would return to the worst of punishments. So from your hair on the top of your head, the scholars say, to the nails on your feet, everything in between has to fully obey Allah for its own sake. So this means ideologically you submit to Allah. Your ideology is in submission to Allah. You don't have fancy ideas of shaitan that everything is just random and it's just happened, who knows how it happened. You submit to the ideology that Allah is creator, sustainer, absolute owner. Your heart is completely satisfied, yaqeen in the akhirah, and your heart is in the obedience of Allah and in His remembrance. And then your body submits to Allah in worship, and your every aspect of your life is in accordance with Allah's guidance. This is udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. But you have to do it as a person, and you as an ummah, you have to do this. Because your Islam, O ummah of Rasulullah, your Islam will help others to become also obedient to Allah. When you are not good role models of Islam, then you will not attract people to Islam. Is it clear? وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. And be on your guard. Do not follow in the footsteps of shaitan. that you do some for Allah, you do something for something else. Or in today's day and age, you become very enlightened. You say that we should be very open-minded about everything. Religion is your personal matter, but collectively we have to follow the state. So you become secular in your thought. This is khutuwat shaitan. Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. You should know that shaitan is your clear, plain enemy. He has vowed his mission and his vision is to enter Jahannam with his followers. He is essentially trying to market his product to as many people as possible so that they can all be with him in the Jahannam. May Allah protect us. فَإِنْ زَلَلْتُم مِّن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْكُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتُ فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. But this is now talking to the people who still disbelieve. Yes, like the munafiqeen from the Jewish tribes and the munafiqeen from the Quraysh, like Abdullah ibn Ubay in Medina. فَإِنْ زَلَلْتُم مِّن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْكُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتُ. Although now the clear proofs have come to you, even then if you slip and deviate, then you should know that Allah, He is all-powerful, exalted in might and wise. Meaning, you will not be able to escape the retribution, the justice. But He's Hakim. He will not punish you straight away. This is not His sunnah. Yes, this is not His sunnah that He punishes you immediately. And you should make the most of the time you have, because it seems like هَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَّا أَنْ يَأْتِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظُلَلٍ مِّنَ الْغَمَامِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُرْجَعُ الْأُمُورُ. Do they wait that Allah should come to them in covers of clouds and the angels as well? And if that was to happen, then the matter would be decided, meaning you have to believe iman bil ghaib, yu'minuna bil ghaib, not yu'minuna bil shahada, if you like, that you see and then you believe. Of course, Fir'aun, he believed when it was too late. He believed when he was drowning. Allah Ta'ala says to him, Al-an, now too late. So the belief is to believe in these things and in Allah without seeing. This is the belief. Who wouldn't believe after seeing? Everybody will believe after seeing. Yes? As soon as the death arrives, people will believe. But that iman, la yanfa'u imana, that will be of no benefit to them when they see the angel of death. Until the life is there, the benefit is from iman. When the life is ending, no iman. Allah Ta'ala is saying, what are they waiting for? وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُرْجَعُ الْأُمُورُ. And all the matters will go back to Allah for the final decision. And you should not want to see Allah or the angels, because that means that you will run out of time. It's too late. You know, the people who say to you, I don't believe in God, I can't see Him. So when they see Allah, then it'll be too late to believe in Him. That's the problem. So you cannot afford to do that. Let's take some more ayat, inshallah. Sal Bani Israel, kam ataynahum min ayatin bayyina. Ask the Bani Israel how many signs we gave them from the clear signs. Why Allah Ta'ala is saying ask Bani Israel? Who is Allah Ta'ala talking to? No, not really the believers, really. Talking to the munafiqeen. Because Asa said the Bani Israel, so-called Bani Israel of that time, they were the main instigators of this fasad. And you will see throughout history, you trace the fasad and you will find the roots. You find the roots everywhere. Yes, same characteristics of the people as Allah Ta'ala He has explained and described clearly. So ask Bani Israel, who are the leaders in Medina of the Jewish tribes, who say they are from Musa alayhi salam's people, ask them how many clear signs we gave them. We gave them Musa alayhi salam's staff, and then the parting of the sea, and the manna and the salwa, all of these. But what happened? وَمَنْ يُبَدِّلْ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. But the ni'mah of Allah came to them. In this surah, there's so much mentioned. فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ Bani Israel. So many blessings came, but after that, they changed the ni'mah. Instead of submitting, believing, obeying, they disbelieved, they rejected. They saw the blessings of Allah, but then they became worshippers of the calf. As an example, Allah Ta'ala is saying, for these people, Allah, He is very severe in the outcome, in punishment, because they saw the clear proofs. So Allah Ta'ala is saying to the people now, the munafiqeen, and you could say generally to the people who are disbelievers, that all the signs have come to you now, you should believe, otherwise you would be in the same boat. And then Allah Ta'ala highlights these disbelievers, especially those who were in high positions. زُجِّنَ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا حَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. This life of this dunya has become very attractive for these people, the disbelievers. وَيَسْخَرُونَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And they laugh and ridicule and they look down at the believers. Why they look down on them? What has been mentioned in this surah? Because they are weak, yeah, that's one thing, because they were weak. They used to laugh. This is, many things, but one of them, as you mentioned, that they would laugh that sayakulu sufaha, yeah, regarding them. Before that in the surah, Allah mentions kama amana sufaha, when they were told, believe as those have believed, meaning the Sahaba, they would say, should we believe as these crazy people, sufaha, who don't know what's good or bad for them? Meaning that, look at them, they are just a small number of people. They are standing up against the Quraysh. They're standing up against the custodians of the Kaaba. Who are these? Nothing. They laugh at them, mock at them, ridicule them. Yeah? Just like many times we judge a nation or a people or a community or a country by its economic welfare. We look at them economically, we look at GDP and other indexes, development indexes, and we rank them, yeah, economics. And then you say these people are all very, very sophisticated in the dunya. The others, they just laugh at them. Who are these? Nothing. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. On the day of judgment, the people they're laughing at, the people of taqwa will have the upper hand, meaning that they would laugh at them, as is mentioned in the end of Surah Al-Mutaffifin. Surah Al-Mutaffifin at the end, Allah Ta'ala mentions that these people who used to wink at each other here, when they used to go past, they used to wink and look at these crazy people, silly people. Allah Ta'ala says on the day of judgment, these people would laugh at them. They would have the last laugh. Wallahu yarzuqu man yasha'u bighayri hisab. Allah Ta'ala, He gives rizq to whom He wills without account, meaning that the disbelievers used to think that, oh, because we have got wealth and we have got everything here, this means Allah likes us. Yeah, this common misconception that if something happens to me that is bad, why did it happen to me? What did I do that's wrong? You heard this? So this is a wrong question. Yeah? If a person has good things, it doesn't mean that Allah loves the person necessarily. And if a person has difficulty, it doesn't mean that Allah doesn't love the person. Because this is as a test. Having good or not having something good, or having a problem is a test. And the people who Allah tests the most are the most beloved, who are the prophets. And the Prophet ﷺ, he is the most tested. So Allah Ta'ala is saying He gives rizq to whom He wills, بغير hisab, as much as He wants. It doesn't mean that Allah favors these people. You see that? You know, we unfortunately have this issue that we have to look towards certain nations who have no belief in Allah and the Messenger, and we think they must be good because they are making progress in the dunya. So we have to follow in their footsteps. So this is a wrong mentality to have. Fine, you learn from other people what is good, but you stick to the principles of Allah Ta'ala. So we will, I think, what is the time now? You stop there for now, ayah number 212. And then, inshallah, next time we will start with ayah 213.